Let me pull up this next story here. So I've got some good news. Let's talk about where we're heading. CNN Plus to cease on Thursday, 2 days earlier than announced. CNN Plus couldn't even fail on schedule.
Right.
Oh, that's brutal.
That is brutal.
Well, this is a big change. I mean, CNN put $300 million, I believe, into it, right?
Yes.
$300 million.
And the story behind it is, somebody I know at Discovery called it an ego project, basically, a Zucker ego project. And it was tossed in by the guy who left there kind of as we wanted this, we're going to do it, you're stuck with it. And I don't think anyone thought that they were just going to shut it down because, that's a pretty big move to bring over Chris Wallace and so forth.
Oh,
now,
wow.
I had reported that when Chris got over there, he was, having people count, like interns count how many times. He was furious because, the staff was different. It wasn't as big of an operation. His ego. One of the little secrets is like most of these anchors hate each other. Like there's very few people like Don Lemon and Cuomo used to have these little chit chats. But boy, when Cuomo left, Lemon couldn't talk about him bad as fast as he could. And, like famously Wallace and Tapper hate each other. The problem was when Zucker left, he left this giant vacuum of power because he was hands-on. And, the thought that, and my old boss, Dan Abrams, did a thing once right when this launched was like, who thought this would be a good idea? Like, who thought you wanted to watch? And Tucker, like, somebody said to me, and I was kind of invested, but not super, was like, that Tapper has a book show on this. I'm like, a book show? We're going to listen to him talk about books on streaming? And I remember thinking to myself, that can't be true. And there it was. And, I've been in the media 15 years, and there's this, not only is there a city bubble in New York and DC, there's also a media bubble within them that they think that they live in this moment and they live in these big, important roles. And if you try to question their judgment or disrupt their judgment on how things should work, and it's kind of like when Facebook years ago said pivot to video, and all these companies spent millions of dollars spending on video equipment, and then nothing happened because I guess millennials wanted 15-second videos, not 30-second videos. But this was, we need a streaming service because the kids are watching streaming. And most people think to themselves, there had to be like a lot of focus groups and stuff. Yeah, they paid money to be told that this would work. When if you asked a person on the corner, would this work? A homeless person who had had watched cable in the last 5 years would say, God, no. He wouldn't, but they
did. Did they not do?
They did a study from, and I can't remember whether it was KPMG, and I don't want to, but it was one of the big ones that said this will be X amount of X whatever. Now, to be fair, when Zucker came on, when he took over, he introduced documentaries. Now you look at CNN today and you think, wow, they have some pretty good documentaries, and people made fun of him when he did that. So he's had some good ideas. Let's just say that if they had endless amounts of money and endless amounts of time, maybe once no one had cable anymore, and this was the only way to watch CNN, it might have worked. But when Discovery comes in and has, X amount of billions of dollars in debt, and this thing is costing, and Wallace is making $7 million. I mean, that's what they're
paying him.
$7 million absolutely. Had to be about
worth every penny.
$7 to $10 million because
retirement.
That's about what Lemon and those people make. Now, the odds are that Wallace is probably going to end up with Cuomo's old time slot at 9.
Right.
Because you got this guy. What are you going to do with him? He's a good brand. The problem with him, when I reported this, he has no beachhead. Both sides hate him equally. Yeah. Like the left hate him because he was near Fox. The Fox people hate him because he couldn't just be quiet and leave. He had to, poop on Tucker and the left, and they don't, they remember this. And so he's kind of this island of people who.
But I heard that the new leadership wants to purge CNN of the political stuff.
So it's happening. If you're a casual watcher and watch, say, Brian Stelter, who right now is kind of this thing to watch as far as the tempo there. He's the guy who used to every Sunday go after Fox or tweet at Fox or say this stuff about. He hasn't said anything about Fox because they kind of set the rules where this is a news organization. This isn't about going after another news organization. This is about, And then the Ukraine stuff happened. Perfect timing for the people in Discovery who wanted to see CNN go back to news, because they do an excellent job. Calissa Ward and all these people are bombs going after them. It reminds the only people who are watching cable, boomers, of Bernie in Iraq when we for the first time saw a war happen live during shock and awe. So it kind of reinforced that there is a business there. Now the problem with that is no one's watching cable news anymore. And unless it's a crazy moment happening, people aren't running to the TVs. And God only know you guys in your 20s aren't sitting there watching cable on your, if you even have a cable TV package.
It used to be that when I heard, I saw a
that
tweet.
Sound, yeah.
When I saw a tweet and it said, thing happened, I would turn on CNN.
Correct.
I don't do that anymore.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I turn on Fox.
And but also that whole breaking news thing used to be when there was breaking news. Now Fox has it every commercial, and it's kind of lost its luster where you used to hear that noise and something big was happening. But this will be probably one of the largest media disasters I hope for hundreds of years from now. I mean, it's the epic size of this. You can't even begin to.
There's part of me that would like to believe that the people at CNN putting the project together saw the market research that showed it wouldn't work, and they're like, hold on, let's just send it to Snopes first. Let's see if they can debunk this research telling us it's not going to work.
Again, you can't imagine the egos at play.
Yeah.
And they live in now Hudson Yards, this gigantic building on this island with looking down at people, and they all talk to each other. They all go to the same places. They all, are all above everyone else. And, the lack of failure, and they just can't figure out why Fox works.
But this CNN Plus is the perfect example of the information CNN presents itself.
Correct.
They live in a bubble where they're all farting and then rushing over to smell the person's fart and telling everybody it smells like cinnamon buns.
I call it navel gazing, and it's if you go to these parties, you'll I'll tell you one thing. Working at Mediaite, the best thing that ever happened was the CNN launch parties. When they launched this thing, I don't know what the number is, but it was hundreds of thousands of dollars for the launch party of this. Giant logos, giant logo. But no, it's just all of the media people come from all the different media places. That's why, Fox is the outlier, but you'll all see them with each other at different parties, and it's all this little club they're in, and they all know each other, and they've all worked with each other. That's why you see media reporters that, will always, kind of hedge what they're going to say, because they're thinking, well, who knows what they're going to own someday, and I might want to work for them.
Wouldn't it be hysterical if you turn on CNN? They're like, CNN Plus is doing great. Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Well, they did.
Best network ever. Are you kidding me?
Matt Dornick,
the communication strategist.
Well, he's a conservative gay guy who was kind of invented for Trump, because the CNN PR used to be the kindest, sweetest people. Like if they, working on the other end of it, when they didn't like something, it would be this nice email. And they got Matt to just become this bulldog that was basically the Trump version of a PR person at CNN. But anyway, he famously said it was doing great, and they were hoping it, and then it went out of business like 2 days later, CNN Plus.
Yeah, so Matt Dornick, this is a funny story here. It was pointed out that Joe Biden is not a practicing Catholic, because by definition he isn't. He doesn't give assent to Catholic teaching. And so someone reached out to CNN explaining this. CNN, you called Joe Biden a practicing Catholic. He is not. That is a factual error. You should correct it. Matt Dornick screenshots the email and tweets it out saying, this is really gross, which personally speaking, I don't think is a great communication strategy. To screenshot someone's email and then post it, calling it gross. But also he dismissed a blatant, clear-cut fact.
Yeah, he's kind of the representation of what happened to CNN in the Trump era, in that it was all, they felt the only way to respond to him is they viewed him as just this ignorant, loud buffoon, and what they ended up becoming was the ignorant, loud buffoon.
The Chris Wallace news makes me feel really good. What's the word? Schadenfreude.
Yeah. No, and he was fine until, he left. People like Megyn Kelly, when she left, she went to NBC. Now, I love Megyn Kelly, and but everyone knew, you are what Fox makes you. Your audience isn't going to go to NBC in the morning.
That was weird.
But she ended up with $30 million extra bucks in the bank because she said something offensive about, again, she was Black Santa and then said something offensive.
It wasn't even offensive.
No, but
it was like,
to them,
why is that offensive?
Yeah.
And they're like, you don't know.
But do you think they just wanted an excuse
yes,
to cut a
no.
contract?
Everyone knows it was.
Yeah.
Everyone knew it was a pylon. She knew it was a pylon. That's why she got paid, and off she went. And now she's.
Didn't they initially did? Was it the morning show with Megyn Kelly?
Yeah. Well, she had the morning show. Said
she was like dancing and clapping.
Then she said this thing.
She asked, "Why was blackface offensive?"
Why was blackface offensive? You're a news person.
She should be in jail.
No, but you're a news person.
She belongs in prison.
That's the point. Like, what's the question you can't ask anymore? Is how the news is made, not what should you like. There's no more like Chris Wallace's father, Mike Wallace. You'd be scared out of your wits when he walked in the doors because there was nothing. There was, no agenda with him. Now, of course, they were all left-leaning, but still, we are in a period where it's the words you're not allowed to say. It's the words. There's a like, why do gay people get a month? Like, if I'm a reporter and I went into the headquarters of Gay Incorporated, why did you get a month? Like, what happened? Why does everyone have to change their logos, and except for in the Middle East? And why are you okay with that?
China.
Yeah, and why, and you can't show, Doctor Strange's new movie and then in there because it's a gay character. Does that bother you? Nope. You can't. It's like, where did LGBTQ plus AZ? Where did that come from?
Well, you can't ask those questions.
Correct.
Well,
but I will say I thought it was strange that they moved Megyn Kelly from Fox News Primetime to NBC morning shows, like a family woman oriented thing.
And it's what happens to media people. And I love her to death. I love them all, but you lose your mind. You become so famous that you think it's all about.
That's what CNN Plus is. But let's talk about some other good news. Some other good news here.
While you're pulling this up, can I just mention something to his earlier point? So you said that CNN was kind of trying to do this tough guy thing and mimic Trump. And yes. I noticed a little bit of that. And I think it's funny because, they clearly misunderstood. It's not just that people liked that Trump was a tough guy. They liked who he was going after. But even in the example I brought up of Matt Dornick going, this is really gross. That's not a tough guy thing to say.
No.
That's not. Can you imagine Trump going, this is really gross, quite frankly? No, he would actually go after the person.
Right.
They didn't know how to do it.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.